Hello and welcome to James Hill Sports. We are joined by a special coach. The gentleman, his name is Willie Simmons, and you know him from the highest of 7 hills. I'm talking Florida A&M University, the Rattlers. Coach, first and foremost, I hope you and the family and everybody as part of the FAMU are safe and sound these days.
Thank you, James. It's always a pleasure to be on with you.
Thank you, sir. Talk a little bit about your football program. Obviously, guys graduate, they get a quality education, and they're able to play for one of the most historic brands of college sports of all time.
Well, we're excited about the things that we're doing here at Florida A&M. As you alluded to, the number one priority is making sure that our young men have an opportunity to get a quality education from the number one public HBCU in America, a top 104 academic institution in the country, and be able to go on and do great things in this society. And so everything we do starts there. And then obviously the game of football provides those young men that opportunity. So just, trying to build a program that gives them the resources that they need, the coaching they need, and just the day-to-day care that they desire to make them the best that they can be and give them a chance to accomplish all of their goals, graduation, have a chance to play football beyond FAMU, and just giving them an experience that's second to none. And after 4 years here on the highest of 7 hills, I can honestly say that I feel like we're headed in that direction.
Coach, talk a little bit about the Pantheon of Greatness. You look at some of the gentlemen who are a part of the legacy, Coach Hub, Rudy Hubbard, Billy Joel, Jake Gaither, yourself, and the list goes on. But can you talk about that legacy and what that's like to be a part of such an iconic history, if you will?
Well, I'm humbled every single day that I get an opportunity to walk in that field house and see my name mentioned with the likes of Jake Gaither, Billy Joel, Rudy Hubbard, Ken Riley, Joe Taylor, even as far back as William Bell. Just what these men meant to Florida A&M, meant to the young men that they had an opportunity to coach. Again, it gives me motivation every single day to be my very best, because I know that the shoulders that I stand on are monumental. The Pantheon of Greatness, that's Florida A&M, again, is second to none. And when it's all said and done, the Mount Rushmore of coaches at Florida A&M, I'm not even sure if I'm on that list just yet. So it means I have a lot of work to do, big shoes to fill, but that's a part of the journey. That's a part of the challenge. Rattler Nation expects excellence. We expect excellence. And so again, we can't rest, because every day is a challenge to be the very best, not only HBCU, but FCS program out there.
Coach, and speaking of the off season, if you will, recently you had the opportunity to come into Orlando to a football camp where there was the next generation of student athletes and the guys that are out there now competing at a high school level and working on their games and their education every day. When you looked out there, what did you see in the camp with the next generation of players?
Well, again, I took my hat to Coach Terry Sams down at Bethune-Cookman University, Coach Toriano Morgan at Edward Waters University. 3 of us put our heads together earlier this year, and we thought it'd be a great idea to have an HBCU mega camp. There are a ton of mega camps across the country, but none that are primarily put on by the HBCUs. And so there are 4 in the state of Florida. Florida Memorial University was going through a coaching change at the time, so we didn't get a chance to include them. But we put it on down in Orlando with the help of A.G. Wasim, and then 11 other HBCUs had a chance to come out and evaluate the young men. So over 550 participants, throughout that day. So a phenomenal day, great event, a lot of positive feedback. And I think it's something that will continue every single year because, again, this state is rich in history and tradition. But the 4 HBCUs coming together to put on a football camp is historic. And again, it's something that we're very proud of.
Coach, during the off season, the summertime, student athletes get an opportunity to take some coursework and also continue to build their bodies up, lifting weights and their cardio and just working on conditioning and becoming better student athletes. Can you talk about the so-called off season and what that's like from a coaching perspective?
Well, you're absolutely right. There really is no off season. It rolls from the playing season right into off season conditioning. And so these guys get a couple of weeks off, after the playoff this past season in early December, and they were right back at it in early January. And they've been going strong ever since then. So training, conditioning, lifting weights right into our fourth quarter program, which is a 4-week period that we engage in leading up to spring ball, through spring ball, and then right into summer conditioning. And so again, our guys are committed to being year-round athletes. They understand that the landscape of college football now says that you have to train year-round. And so they're here, they're in summer school, they're getting ahead academically. They're able to meet, we're able to meet with them now, which is a huge plus, that we can do some on-field instruction with them throughout the week, things that we haven't been able to do in the past. And so again, just preparing ourselves for what seems to be, what not seems to be, what is a highly anticipated season. A lot of expectations. Obviously, opening up against University of North Carolina, week 0 in Chapel Hill, and then our rematch down in Miami Gardens in the Orange Blossom Classic against Jackson State University. So again, our guys understand what's at stake, and they're hard to work every single day, trying to make sure that we're the best football team that we can be this season.
Coach, when you look at an athletic program and a university, athletic directors, they come and go, student athletes come through and they walk out with a degree, coaches, change is part of the natural evolution. But can you just talk a little bit about the athletic program and obviously athletic director at Florida A&M? That's an attractive and a historic position. And I'm sure that sooner or later, somebody will be there in that position.
Well, you like to think that with the history and tradition that we have at Florida A&M and the resources that we have at our disposal, that it is a very attractive job. And so we feel there'll be no shortage of suitors, for the job. But for the time being, interim athletic director Michael Smith Sr. Has hit the ground running. He understands the task at hand. He's not new to this position, being that he's been the interim 3 different times before. And so again, he knows what's at stake. He knows what the expectations are. And we're working hard every single day to try to continue to build and grow this athletics program to match the academic reputation that this university enjoys. And so it's a never-ending process. Again, the timetable of when they'll make a permanent hire, we don't know that, but we can't concern ourselves with that. We have work to do right now. And there are things that we still have to get done. And so that's what our focus is. And whenever the university leadership decides to make a permanent decision, we'll be there to support it. But right now, all of our support, myself, the other coaches included, is behind Michael Smith. And again, we're excited about the opportunity to work with someone who understands FAMU, who played football, at Florida A&M on the Highest of 7 Hills. And so again, looking forward to what this season brings. As we all know, football and volleyball pop off the school year. So volleyball is a reigning champ in the SWAC, and we're 1 point away. So again, we're trying to figure out a way to start the school year off on the right foot with 2 championships, and obviously football has to do our part.
Coach, the rich tradition and the history of Florida A&M football. Recently in the MEAC, and now you're in the SWAC. You've been there a couple years, and you're moving forward. Talk a little bit about just the program and the history. And obviously, HBCU football has been around since the 1800s, and fans really love it.
Well, we made the decision to move into the Southwestern Athletic Conference from the MEAC. A lot of people thought that it may have been a bad decision. But I think after the year that we've had in the SWAC, everyone can see now that it was the best thing for this program. The SWAC is at a level that it hasn't been in a long time. The quality of coaches that we have in all sports, not just football, the quality of student athletes that we're able to attract, our fan bases, the game day atmospheres that we share here in the SWAC, in our opinion, is second to none. There's a reason that this conference has led FCS football in attendance 37 of the last 38 years or something like that. So again, people love our football here in the South, and these programs every Saturday in the fall is an opportunity to brag, an opportunity to show who's the top dog, and obviously Rattler Nation expects that from our program. So again, I'm very pleased with the move. Very excited about the direction that the conference is headed in, and all the member institutions will be benefiting here pretty quickly from some of the things that Commissioner McClellan has put on the table. So anyone who has been following the SWAC kind of sees the momentum, but if you have not been, I encourage you to do so because we firmly believe that this conference is about to take off.
Coach, both sides of the football, you return some Rattlers. Mr. McKay is the quarterback. You look on the defensive side, Mr. Land is still in the house. Talk about familiar faces, newcomers, players who are coming in to be a part of it, and what you see from a coaching standpoint.
Well, obviously, before we talk about who's returning, again, we can't forget about the guys that moved on from this program. Marquise Bell has been a staple here at Florida A&M over the last 3 years. One of our all-time greats, and that right now is enjoying minicamp with the Dallas Cowboys. Savion Williams came in, had a phenomenal senior season, got an opportunity to go to New York with the Jets for rookie minicamp, and so did Keenan Forbes with the Seattle Seahawks. And so, again, definitely going to miss those guys along with the other graduates from this past team. But we're excited about the returnees, led by Isaiah Land, the reigning Buck Buchanan Award winner as the nation's best FCS defensive player. So again, he's looking forward to another breakout year. Obviously, as he tries to get his name called on draft day this time next year. And then you have guys like Xavier Smith, Jamarie Shareed, Christopher Duell, Rashawn McKay, as you mentioned, Brian Crawford, Cameron Colvin, as returning starters, Nadarius Fagan, BJ Bowler. So a lot of guys who played a lot of quality reps for us, some all-conference guys returning. But again, we have some new faces that we're very excited about. Isaiah Major is a name that I think Rattler Nation will find out about pretty quickly. Linebacker that we signed out of Independence Community College, in Kansas. Had a phenomenal spring and looking forward to what he can do. Jeremy Musa is a guy that came in, quarterback transfer from Vanderbilt University as a grad transfer. And again, coming in and pushing Rashawn McKay for that starting quarterback spot. So again, a lot of guys that are going to be familiar faces for Rattler Nation pretty quickly. Trey Davis is another one, wide receiver. I'm actually a Division II transfer, from Wayne State University. So we've kind of gone all around looking for top talent at the FBS level, at the junior college level, and even down to Division II level. And that's the luxury of the transfer portal that allows individuals to find the school that they think fits them. We had 11 quality young men this spring that came into the program that were able to go through spring practice. And we're very excited about all 11 of them. And we still looking for a few more guys to come in this fall. And we feel like we'll be able to field a deep, athletic, strong, talented football team. And that's what you'll need here in this conference. Because again, like I alluded to earlier, SWAC it's been dubbed the SEC of FCS football with the week-to-week grind that it takes to get through. But we understand the challenges that we face ahead. We have a daunting schedule ahead of us, facing multiple conference champions, South Carolina State, the Celebration Bowl champion, Albany State, won the SIAC, and then the University of North Carolina starting out is a Power 5 program. So, again, our schedule is going to be one that's going to challenge us early and often. But again, the old saying, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And so this football team is looking forward to the challenge ahead this fall as we try to finish the season there in Atlanta to represent the SWAC in the Cricket Celebration Bowl.
Coach, you alluded to it, the transfer portal, and then also NIL, name and likeness, and guys get an opportunity to make a few dollars off of their name and likeness. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that can mean to people going forward?
Well, obviously NIL, as you alluded to, name, image, and likeness, is the newest craze in college football. A lot of people are starting to understand what that looks like. So basically what it does, it allows student athletes to capitalize monetarily on, again, their name, their image, or their likeness. If somebody wants to use a student athlete to promote their brand, these young men and women can get compensated for that now. No, which is a great concept. Again, a lot of people, universities, outside entities have made a lot of money over the years off the backs of these student athletes, and there was no compensation, for that. I'm one of those student athletes, right? During my collegiate days, a lot of people bought number 7 Clemson jerseys when I was a starting quarterback there, and I didn't receive any compensation for that. So the opportunity for these young men and women to again capitalize financially on those opportunities is great for the sport, But just like everything else, there has to be some regulations. There has to be some policing to make sure that it's not taken advantage of, and it's not supposed to be used as a recruitment tool, as an inducement to attract student athletes to certain institutions, and there may be some of that going on. So again, just trying to make sure that something that's beneficial to a student athlete isn't done the wrong way, so that it tarnishes this great game, this great concept that we have in the collegiate world, right? So again, we're excited about the opportunity for our young men to capitalize on that, but we want to make sure that we're doing things the right way here at Florida A&M, so that nothing comes back to hurt this program or the young men and women that we coach every single day.
Coach, the transfer portal, what has that experience been like? A lot of times guys could transfer, but they had to transfer down. And then you got into the the COVID year when guys had an extra year and an opportunity. What's that been like to experience that from a coach's standpoint?
Well, the last couple of years have been very challenging, to say the least. When you couple the transfer portal rules that you alluded to, the chance to transfer one time from one institution to the next, regardless of level, and be able to play right away, has really changed the landscape. Right. In the past, it was, again, transferring from an FBS program down to an FCS program and playing right away. But now the ability to go from one Power 5 to another, or to a group of 5, or wherever the case may be, again, just makes for a more strategic plan for each coach and each coaching staff of how they're going to recruit, And so roster management is the big buzzword amongst college football coaches in today's climate. How do we manage our rosters, with the transfer portal being what it is, with the COVID waiver, that anyone who was a part of a football team in the 2020 year, being technically granted an extra year, not mandatory. It's still up to the coach's discretion of whether they'll grant that year at their particular institution. But again, just being able to manage your roster to make sure that you're in compliance, that you have the appropriate number of scholarship players, and that you can have the right number of players at each position. So again, that's something that we've constantly looked at, constantly tried to manage. And the mixture of transfers, junior college and 4-year, along with high school recruiting, is something that we pay close attention to, because what we don't want to do is get away from high school recruiting. We still want to build our program from the bottom up, and that's getting quality high school students in your program that are going to be there 3, 4, 5 years to really buy into that philosophy, and then become the true leaders of your football team when the time comes. So it's definitely something that a lot of coaches, head coaches, have talked about, and it's something that we all have to manage to be able to field the best football teams possible.
Coach, August 27th, road game, UNC, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 2 great brands when you look at FAMU and you look at UNC. Talk about going in there, and you know what that's like to play at a high level. Talk about going in there. This time you're going in as a head coach, and you got a game to play against an ACC foe. Talk about what that can look like, and obviously Mac Brown, and we know what he was able to do at Texas, and Michael Jordan, if you will, even though it's basketball, and just the concept of North Carolina. But take us into what that can look like, and it's a great opportunity for FAMU football.
Well, hopefully, we can relive some of the magic that I enjoyed as a player, playing in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, back in 2000. Many Clemson Tiger fans, most fond memory of me is the game that I played up in Chapel Hill that year where we were down 17-0. And starting quarterback Woodrow Dancer got hurt. And I came in and led us to a 38-24 victory, set the school record for touchdown passes in the game. So again, great memories, fun place playing up in Kenan Stadium. And we're looking forward to going there, So again, two great brands, as you talked about, Florida A&M and North Carolina. But you also look at the flagship Jordan School, which is the University of North Carolina, going head to head against the flagship LeBron James School, which is Florida A&M University. And so there's a lot of build up around the game for multiple reasons. Again, with the alumni bases that we have, with the tradition that we have, I think both teams are in the top of their respective leagues and uniform designs, and all those type things. So up-tempo offenses, attacking style defenses, so again, it'll be a great game for us to play week 0 on national television on ACC network, so give us a chance to go up against a team that's on paper bigger, faster, and stronger, and really challenge our young men, but it gives guys like Isaiah Land, Xavier Smith, Chris Fadul, some of those pro prospects we have, a great chance to show the NFL scouts what they can do against that level of competition. So again, we're not just going up there to cash a check. We're going up there to play our best game and try to steal a victory and relive history. This is not new to Florida A&M. We have beaten Power 5 programs before. It's been a while, but we have won those type of games. So, our young men have, again, their hands full, with North Carolina, but I truly believe we'll be up to the challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
All right. When we think about September 4th, now we're talking about going into South Florida. It's Hard Rock Stadium. You look over to the other sideline. It's Coach Prime. It's Shador. It's Shiloh. It's Jackson State University and Florida A&M. Obviously, it might be the game of the year, and it's a league game right off the top. Can you talk about what that might look like and how important that game is? Because it might end up, it might be the road to the Celebration Bowl, or it could be the road to the playoffs, depending on how you look at it and how you come out of it.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Last year when Coach Prime and I stood on the field for pregame, we said together that the winner of that game would more than likely win the SWAC, and that's exactly what happened. It was decided by that one game. They went undefeated in conference play, and we had one loss, 1 point loss to Jackson State down in Miami Gardens. So again, we've had, 300 plus days to think about that loss and to see how close we were to, represent the SWAC East in the SWAC Championship game and having a chance to play in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, but we were blessed to be able to get the at-large playoff berth. And again, this year, I truly believe that it will be similar. The competition has gotten a lot stiffer in the SWAC. So again, it's not going to be an easy road for either team. That one game, may not decide it as easily or as comfortably as it did this past season, right? So whoever wins that game will have the leg up, obviously, in the SWAC East, and whoever loses it has an uphill battle to try to hope the other team loses twice, much like we did last year. But that's what makes the game what it is. That's why there's so much excitement to build up around the game. I think that's why ESPN2 is picking up the game, so we're playing back-to-back weeks on national television. And again, looking forward to being across the field from Coach Prime and, seeing the Buck Buchanan Award winner, Isaiah Land, can get his hands on the Jerry Rice Award winner, Shador Sanders, So again, there'll be a lot of build up around that game, a lot of hype, and rightfully so. Two great programs, two talented football teams, two dynamic coaching staffs, one maybe a little bit more flamboyant than the other, but again, results on both sides. So it's what makes the SWAC what it is. And I think it will be one of the marquee games in all of FCS football this coming season.
Coach, the renewed spotlight in HBCU football. It's been around since the 1800s, but now more people are looking at you guys. Talk a little bit about HBCU football, that legacy, and here we are in 2022, and more eyeballs are on the Black college football experience.
Well, again, I've talked a lot about this to prospective student athletes, parents, and coaches. As we've entered into a new era of recruiting, for our programs. The HBCUs, the experience is really what we're talking about, right? It is not just the football side. When you choose to come to a Florida A&M, a Jackson State, a Howard, a Morehouse, a Spelman, any of those places, it's one of the few times in this country where blacks and minorities can go into a setting where their excellence is not the minority, right? It's the majority, and they can be celebrated, and that's something that's unique to the HBCU experience. It's something that we encourage our young men and women to take a deeper look at every single day, and that's what the recruiting piece is all about. The football is football, right? Whether you're Power Five, whether you're Group of Five, FCS, Division II, it's still football. So again, I'm kind of hesitant when I use that designation of HBCU football, because sometimes it kind of gives a negative connotation to some people who don't understand, what our institutions are all about. So when you walk into that field house there at Gallimore Powell, our guys are lifting weights just like everyone else is, right? We're meeting and watching film, doing walkthroughs, and we're doing everything else everything that every other program is doing, with the same allotted time, with the same attention to detail, and all that. So the experience that you get going to an HBCU is really what happens once you step out of the field house and you go into the classroom, right? Once you walk the yard and you become a part of Greek life or student government, or all the traditions that we have, like Set Friday, right? Fried fish Wednesday, or fried chicken Wednesday, fried fish Friday, those type things. So that's what makes FAMU special. That's what makes all the other HBCUs special, is the Black excellence that's all coming together in one place at an institution of higher learning, where being a minority scholar is celebrated, unlike it is at any other institution across America.
Coach, when you look at your schedule, you'll get an opportunity to go home and play Albany State at home. Then you'll get Alabama A&M coming in. You get Mississippi Valley State at home. That's 3 weeks straight, or 3 games straight. Can you talk about that home stretch, home cooking, and again, the highest of 7 hills, and your fans get an opportunity to kind of reach out and watch you guys and come home, so to speak?
Yeah, we're very excited about the home slate this year. 5 home games, in the capital city of Tallahassee, Florida. And we're completing renovations to Brad Memorial Stadium as we speak. Renovations to the west side of the stands, and installing a new press box. So again, it'll be a brand new look this year at Brad Memorial Stadium. Be the same feel, right? The same raucous crowd. Great student section, marching 100. The game day atmosphere that we've always enjoyed there on the highest of 7 hills. So we're looking forward to it, right? And 3 straight weeks. It's somewhat of a unique challenge for us, but again, we're looking forward to it. We're challenging Rattler Nation, the local community, to really come out and support. Every year we finish in the top 5 of FCS football in attendance, and this year should be no difference. We want to inch closer and closer to that number 1 spot. We know the team that's typically number 1, is in our conference, and we talked about that game a little bit earlier. They have a little bit bigger stadium that they can enjoy. But again, if we can finish number 2, that would be awesome, right? And so again, we look forward to Rattler Nation showing up and showing out, giving us the game day advantage, the home field advantage. That's helped us, have a 10-game winning streak in Bragg, right? We have not lost a game in that stadium in over two football seasons straight. So one of the longest home winning streaks in the country, and we definitely want to do everything we can to protect that, as we have some tough teams coming in this fall to try to be the first one to get a win in Bragg in a long time. But if those guys are on the green that are working hard every day have anything to say about it, we'll keep that win streak going another year.
Coach, the Florida Classic, Florida Blue, Florida Classic, Bethune, FAMU, Orlando, tailgate, Thanksgiving, the works. It's a special game, and you were able to snap that streak the last time we were in Orlando. But talk about the Florida Classic and what that can look like this year. It'll be a defining moment going into the SWAC Championship game.
Well, no question about it. You know, all 3 seasons that we've been here on the House of Seven Hills, that game has had huge implications on our season. You know, year one, you know, we win that game, we're conference champions. You know, now in my first year as a head coach in the MEAC at FAMU, you know, and when unfortunately we dropped the game and, you know, had to watch North Carolina A&T play in the Celebration Bowl. You know, the next year we were on probation, so even though we had the best record in the MEAC, we couldn't go, but still having a chance to finish with an unblemished conference record and really set the stage to be in that conversation for top HBCU football program in the country. You know, again, came down to that one game, you know, and then for the second year in a row, basically lost the game on the last drive, you know, and then coming into this past season, we knew after dropping the first game against Jackson State that we basically have to run the table to have a legitimate shot at being an at-large playoff team. You know, so going into the Florida Classic, the pressures of having to win that game for postseason play, but more than anything else, to snap that nasty 9-year streak that we had been suffering from was on the forefront of everyone's mind. You know, but it was a magical game. It was one of the most fun games I've ever been a part of as a player or a coach. I still remember, you know, just that third quarter. You know, just the craziest, wildest third quarter that you'd ever want to see, and to be able to hold that trophy up, you know, with my wife and my grandmother and family in attendance is a feeling that I'll never ever forget. So the Florida Classic Championship trophy is back on the House of Seven Hills where it rightfully belongs, and we don't plan to give it back anytime soon. So we know it's a long way away, you know, but again, when you're a Rattler, that game has to always be somewhere in your mind. Doesn't have to be on the front of your mind, but it needs to be somewhere there so that when we get to it, we understand what's at stake, because 365 days of bragging rights is at stake. And Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner tasted a lot better this year than it had in previous years.
Coach, the SWAC championship game, major implications because the winner of that game moves on, punching a ticket to the ATL, if you will, the Celebration Bowl. Can you talk about how important the SWAC championship game is? Because you'll see the winner of the MEAC, it might be Coach Pugh or whoever makes it, and they'll play on the big stage in Atlanta.
Well, obviously, you know, every team has that ultimate goal of playing in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. But again, you can't make it unless you win your conference. And so, you know, winning the divisional title is first and foremost. And once you take care of the divisional title, and there's a berth in the SWAC championship game, you know, so we have a unique setup in the SWAC where the team with the best record going into the SWAC championship game gets to host. And so it's another great opportunity for the 12-member institutions to get an extra game on our campuses. And so again, if we're afforded the opportunity to have another game in Bragg Stadium in early December, it will be something tremendous for our program, not just from a branding perspective, because it is a national televised game with Pepsi as a sponsor. You know, again, it's a game that you can generate a lot of significant revenue. And so being able to win that game and then finish your season in Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, you know, ATL is a city that loves Florida A&M. You know, probably more than any other city outside of the state of Florida. You know, ATLians want to see the Rattlers, and so there was, I think, a record crowd last year. And you know, when we make it to the Celebration Bowl this year, I'm pretty confident that we'll exceed that record this year as well, because Rattler Nation would definitely love to party and hang out in Atlanta and watch the Rattlers go out and compete for an HBCU championship. So that goal is at the top of our list. You know, the playoffs is kind of a secondary top priority. You know, if something happens where we're not afforded the opportunity, but we go into every season with one main goal in mind, and that's the end of the season in Atlanta, having a chance to play the winner of the MEAC for the right to call yourself undisputed HBCU national champs. And it's something that we feel we've kind of let slip through our fingers really each of the last 3 years. You know, the first year, again, one game away. The second year, because of, you know, the probation that we self-imposed due to some things that happened, before we even came to FAMU. And then this past season, literally 1 point away from that opportunity, we've been that close, right? And so that motto of leave no doubt is something that we really have to take seriously. And because that's the motto, that's the goal, to really leave no doubt in anyone's mind who the top program is in HBCU, football, and who is the top dog, so to speak. So we're working extremely hard, just like everyone else is. I'm not saying anything that any other coach would get on here and say, but our guys know the expectation here at Florida A&M. When we say championship, we say it because, again, we've done it, 15 times before being HBCU national champs, and multiple times before being conference champs. So that's just the expectation that was set a long, long time ago when this little guy named Jake Gaither put a whistle in his mouth and blew it as head coach of the FAMU Rattlers. So he set the standard, and then Rudy Hubbard came and followed it. Ken Riley after him, Billy Joe after him, Joe Taylor after him, and then a little country boy from Quincy, Florida, got the phone call to come be the head coach. And I understand that that's the expectation for me as well. So huge season this year, a lot at stake. But again, we're up for the challenge, and I look forward to seeing everyone at Bragg Memorial Stadium this year after they come to Chapel Hill and after they come down to Miami to support us in the Orange Blossom Classic. So as always, like we talk about, go Rattlers.
Well, folks, there you have it from Coach. We will see him on the highest